not our media outlets. What we are currently witnessing, as I keep saying, is one of the great crimes of our age. And we are learning a brutal lesson in real time. How are grave crimes, crimes defined by utter depravity, which are willingly not only confessed to by their perpetrators, but boasted about, where the victims are completely dehumanized, how are these grave crimes made possible? No crime in history has been so documented as it happened. No crime in history has been so confessed to over and over again from top to bottom of the society responsible. This is a lesson which should not have been taught, and certainly not at the expense of the Palestinian people as they suffer genocide. In the past few days, Israel has been committing perhaps its worst crimes since this genocide began. We do not know the true extent of these crimes in northern Gaza because Israel has cut off all communication there. What footage we do have is reminiscent of some of the worst crimes committed in the history of our species. I can't post most of this footage. YouTube would age restrict this video immediately, and frankly, many of you will understandably find it too difficult to watch. I don't want to watch it either, but unfortunately, we have to record these crimes to make it clear what happened. Otherwise, there will never be accountability. Now, much of the evidence comes from Jabalia, a refugee camp in the north. One is footage of Jabalia Prep School. It shows men with their heads partly blown off. It shows the bloody corpses of women and of little children. In other evidence, you can see 7 children. They were killed after they were targeted by Israeli artillery. They were trying to get water for their families in Jabalia when they were slaughtered. Meanwhile, the Israeli army has set fire to the Alpu, Kuwait, and Hamad schools in Jabalia, which were serving as UN shelters for desperate, traumatized, hungry Palestinians. In another, Palestinians, including the young, are shown having been forced to undress and wear plastic suits, where they will be taken to camps in Israel, where we all have access to some of the most hideous reports of torture, rape, gang rape, including detainees being tortured to death. Meanwhile, Israeli television boastfully shows Palestinians forced to leave Jabalia, a sea of human misery under threat of violence and death. Can News, the Israeli national broadcaster, broadcast the following footage captioned with documentation: Gazans leave Jabalia. Gazans leave Jabalia indeed, as though they're just voluntarily just getting out of there rather than facing a murderous Israeli rampage. As Mohammed Shahada, a brilliant Palestinian analyst, writes, working on a long paper that touches on what's left of Gaza for the day after, Israel literally destroyed all universities, factories, shops, companies, government offices, courts, mosques, and the vast majority of schools, hospitals, banks, homes. No possibility for organized human life. Meanwhile, the Western media whitewashes these crimes. Let's talk about this. Because what we're seeing here is the erasure of the humanity of the victims by most of the Western media. That's what we're talking about. So let's humanize one. This is Masahin, who was in Jabalia camp.
مرحبا، أنا محاسن من غزة، بحاول أضل على قيد الحياة. نحن في غزة بخير، طمنونا عنكم. نحن في الحرب بخير، ماذا عنكم أنتم؟
She says there, hello, I'm Masahin from Gaza. I will try to stay alive. Here's the last video she posted. With the apocalyptic sound of war behind her, she depicted an image inspired by Shaban al-Dalu, the young Palestinian man who burned to death in hospital the day before his 20th birthday. It shows a burning Palestinian with "We are burning" inscribed above it. Now, she was killed 3 days ago in an Israeli airstrike. It's difficult to put into words, isn't it? She there depicts the horror of a young Palestinian burning to death, a fate which almost certainly befell her very shortly afterwards. Now, we can glean some of the atrocities being committed in Gaza through the Western media, but on some quite astonishing framing deployed. And it's disturbing to talk about this. One headline on CNN reads as follows: "He got out of Gaza, but Gaza did not get out of him. Israeli soldiers returning from war struggled with trauma and suicide." Now, the original editor's note at the start reads, "Editor's note, the story contains details of suicide that some readers may find upsetting. The story expects us to focus our feelings of empathy on this soldier." It reads, "A 40-year-old father of four, Eliran Mizrahi, deployed to Gaza after the deadly Hamas-led attacks on Israel on October 7th, 2023. The Israeli military reservist returned a different person, traumatized by what he had witnessed in the war against Hamas in the Strip," his family told CNN. 6 months after he was first sent to fight, he was struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder back at home. Before he was due to redeploy, he took his own life. It goes on, he got out of Gaza, but Gaza did not get out of him, and he died after it because of the post-trauma, his mother, Jenny Mizrahi, says. Now, I relish no one's suicide. As I always say, never let the evil of this world rot away your humanity. Never relish death. When you read on, some rather important context emerges. His mother says he saw a lot of people die. Maybe he even killed someone, but we don't teach our children to do things like this. So when he did this, something like this, maybe it was a shock for him. Guy Zakin, Mizrahi's friend and co-driver of the bulldozer, provided further insight into their experience in Gaza, says CNN. "We saw very, very, very difficult things," Zakin told CNN, "things that are difficult to accept." The former soldier has spoken publicly about the psychological trauma endured by Israeli troops in Gaza. In a testimony to the Knesset, Israel's parliament, in June, Zakin said that on many occasions, soldiers had to run over terrorists, dead and alive, in the hundreds. "Everything squirts out," he added. Zakin says he can no longer eat meat, as it reminds him of the gruesome scenes he witnessed from his bulldozer in Gaza, and struggles to sleep at night, the sound of explosions ringing in his head. Goodness me. So we've gleaned here that Israeli soldiers were ordered to run over those described as terrorists, dead or alive, in the hundreds. Now, we know already that there is an all-expansive definition of terrorist used by the Israeli state and its soldiers. But in any case, running over living, breathing human beings as they are alive is a truly depraved war crime. And this says hundreds. And for that matter, running over the bodies of dead people is also a crime. It's the desecration of corpses. This article focuses on the mental suffering of Israeli soldiers. Look, I believe in humane practices in all cases, and I believe these Israeli soldiers should receive the appropriate support for the traumas they've suffered while perpetrating some of the worst war crimes of our age in prison, behind bars, as part of the process of forcing a genocidal society to confront what it has done. Now, the editor's note, which originally only said details about suicide, might upset some readers, omitting the bit about running over hundreds of human beings, Palestinians, of course, until their insides squirt out, was amended to include violence too. CNN shamed there into having to treat Palestinians as actual human beings. Now, yesterday, the ruling Likud party organised a conference in support of ethnically cleansing Gaza and colonising it. Here, the far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir jubilantly addressed the crowd. Now, as the Israeli newspaper Haaretz and others have noted, the ethnic cleansing and colonization of Gaza by Israeli settlers is clearly where this is all heading. They're razing Gaza to the ground, killing as many Palestinians as they can get away with, so they can, in time, violently drive out every last surviving Palestinian, erasing Palestinian Gaza from the face of the earth before they finish strangling Palestinian West Bank out of existence too. If you want to understand the mentality here, Sky News interviewed a young Israeli woman at this conference, wearing glasses, a cutesy scarf. She looks, dare I say it, rather sweet. Now, she, according to Sky News, on that note. She is friendly, open, eloquent, and utterly sure of herself. When asked why she wants to live in Gaza, she says, because it's our homeland. It says in the Torah that this is our home, this is our land, and we have every right to live there. When asked what should happen to the Palestinians who already live in Gaza, Sky says she didn't miss a beat in her response. We should kill them, every last one of them. And if the government won't do that, then we should just kick them out. This is our land, and we deserve it. This is genocidal mania. No one can say they didn't know, not our politicians and not our media outlets. Indeed, despite the terrible coverage, despite the moral bankruptcy of our leaders, people know what's happening. In Britain, the polling show that 70% believe Israel has committed war crimes, just 8% disagree. That is 1% less than the number of Britons who believe they have directly communicated with the dead. By a large margin, Britain support an arms embargo on Israel and the arrest of its leader, Benjamin Netanyahu. There is no excuse for not knowing. This is one of the worst crimes of our age, and it is happening every single day with Western arms and support and the complicity of our media. We have to keep talking about that because they have to be held to account. There has to be a reckoning. They can't be allowed to get away with it. Not a crime this big, because if so, then total moral collapse beckons, and that moral collapse will have devastating consequences for generations to come. Please like and subscribe. Do leave your thoughts, your comments, help keep the show on the road and help us take on the pro-genocide media at patreon.com/under84. Listen to podcasts. I'll speak to you soon. No one can.
That's tough feeling. It's tough to view that. That's Owen Jones. And I'm tempted to say the memorare for all the children and innocent civilians in Gaza Strip. But I'll do that. I'll do that on my own. Not everybody's going to want to hear that. But how that relates to us, who are just a few people, is this is the great moral crisis, one of them anyway, of our generations on this planet. Israel is exterminating an entire population of people. Now, I don't personally believe it's all of Israel. I don't believe it's everybody in Israel supports this, but I think the Netanyahu-led groups, I don't know what you call them. Netanyahu himself is a mentally ill criminal. But boy, that's tough. And I remember when I first brought this up, I don't know, over a year ago, I pointed out there was natural gas and oil offshore, and everyone got upset with me. Oh no, it's the 1,000 people that got killed on October 7th. Yeah, I think it was 1,200. But I don't know. There's some questions about how they got out of the most monitored prison walls on Earth. But even if you leave that out, some of the deaths were crossfire. They were Israeli soldiers and helicopters killed civilians. And that's in the Israeli news. I'm not making that up. I find most Israelis that I've ever known are highly honest and intelligent people. And, they will admit that. But this eye for an eye, oh, they deserve it. Oh, the Hezbollah or Hamas hide behind civilians, so we have a right to destroy hospitals, schools, sewers, water, other utilities like natural gas, roads, entire buildings and houses and stores. And then we tell the children to move somewhere and we destroy that as well. And then we shoot children in their head. We shoot children in their chest. I'm sorry. The hottest places in hell are reserved for he who, in times of moral crisis, remains silent. I can't be silent. America has a lot of Jews that live here, and they don't want to face what's happening in Israel. And if you bring it up, they're upset. Well, I'm Irish, part Irish. It's probably the biggest part of my heritage is Irish. And I remember standing when I trained at Merrill Lynch. I stood at the Studio 54 with a gentleman. I'll say his first name. I won't say his last name. Peter, great guy. When he found out I was Irish, oh my gosh! Immediately, well, they're like those bastards and blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't know how to handle it, so I ordered a beer and brushed it off. But later, when I lived in London, I realized that the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, had slaughtered and killed and bombed innocent British citizens on buses, at the post office, other places. And I think Irish Americans like myself, I'll send money. Oh, the green, the lucker of the Irish, the potato famine, oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses die. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when winter's in the meadow and the valley's hushed and white with snow. And I'll be here in something and in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. So the Americans, we send money to Ireland. Yeah. But we don't connect because we live in our isolated world. We watch TV, we're busy, and so we feel good. We send money to the Irish, and they kill innocent civilians. So I would just ask that those of you who get offended by my pointing out that Netanyahu is a psychotic killer, and that Israel is wiping Palestinians' families, entire families, off the face of the earth, old through young. For some measure, that the Bible says something that they're interpreting, that this land belongs to him. He's a criminal. And they're exterminating the Palestinians. And if we as Americans support Netanyahu, if you don't want to be more moralistic about it, if you want to side with Israel because of what happened on October 7th and forget what happened from 1948 onward, okay, let's ignore it all. How's it going to affect us economically? I'll give you Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Libya, all of Africa. They know it's our bombs killing their children and wiping out 2.5 million Gazian citizens. 2.5 million. I won't talk about what Hitler did to Jews during World War II, but I know that Hitler killed 2 million Catholics and gypsies. You don't know that. I'll stick to my own troubled religion. Anyway, I pray for the people of Palestine. And I pray for the citizens of Israel as well. But this maniac, Netanyahu, needs to be arrested and put in a prison for the rest of his life. Oh, Lord. You have no idea what's happening in this and what is happening for the last 100 years. Mahmoud. Well, you don't you don't say which side of that you're on, and I would agree with you. I know more than most people do, but I've visited the Middle East a lot, from many trips to Egypt, Cairo, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Jordan. I've even looked over the water to Israel. I've never been to Israel. And I don't think I know everything that's happened in the Middle East. So I assume, Mahmoud, you're Israeli. I guess that's why you're upset. Maybe the content has deteriorated, but I cannot stay silent. And we don't have to talk about it any further. I don't think my job is to educate you about the catastrophe. I don't need to educate you about what's happened over the years. You know it already, so I don't need to do that. For my soul and for my heart, I have to point out that the IDF is slaughtering Palestinian children. I have to point that out. I forget that Hamas wiped out innocent Israelis and started the war. That's what the media says. And it's true that Hamas killed Israelis, but where do you stop, Michael? What's the number? 1,200? 1,000? Remember that Israeli soldiers admit they killed a number of them, but let's call it 1,200. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? That was out of Gaza. Israel's now invading Lebanon. And the killing is rumored at 80,000. Half of those are children. When does the eye for the eye stop? And it didn't start October 7th. You're crazy. I mean, Michael, if you lived in a prison and you grew up, you were born in that prison, and the prison was the size of LAX, and you're 15, you have no future, what are you going to do? I'm not condoning killing other people. Not condoning that at all. But what are you going to do? That's your life. You're in prison just because you were born Palestinian. You're in prison because you're born in Gaza Strip. Not for any other reason. I have no right. I have no right. I have a right. I have a right. I'm an American citizen. And until we got into all this womanism, I have a right. It's in the Constitution. I have a right to my opinion, and I have a right to say it. Now, I don't have a right to cause harm to anyone else. So there's limits on my right to free speech. But I sound like Biden. That's scary. I think Biden's Secretary of State is complicit with Netanyahu, if you hear me. I think that's what I think. And I think there's a need to get this done, to get us into a war with Iran, get this done before the election. All right, let's try to talk about how that's going to affect us, financially. And let's try to leave I acknowledge to you, Mahmoud, that's an emotional topic. It makes me very upset. And I can acknowledge it probably makes you upset, since you must have lived in Israel and all that I don't think you lived there for 100 years, but the fact is, it hasn't been 100 years, unless you go all the way back to the Zionist movement. I don't know. But anyway, how it's going to affect us, I think, is three things. We might be in a war, and that's going to make everything related to commodities, hard commodities, go up. Whether we're in a war or not, we are almost certainly to be subject to an oil embargo, or an isolation of the US dollar. So our economic lives, as we, and I'm not trying to put right and wrong, as we back the entire obliteration of a people in response to, they started it on October 7th. We'll assume that premise is holy and without reproach. An entire part of the world is going to hold us responsible. And so the second thing is, our economic lives are going to change. The third thing I think you have to focus on is what assets are going to allow you to remain independent. In my opinion, some of these stocks that Ham locates, some others of you locate, give you a chance for outsized returns. But I think the things you need to invest in are going to be gold, silver, platinum, oil and gas, possibly land, if you know how to buy land. But I think that most of us don't know how to invest in land. And invest in things you know about. Like I could imagine there's somebody out there that has a horse farm and knows how to rehabilitate or breed healthy, wonderful horses. Focus on things you know, or an apple orchard, or a modeling agency, or I don't know, a book publisher, a candle maker. Focus on things you know, because when we go to war and when the rest of the world turns against us, we may or may not win, or it seems like we win. After that, our lifestyles as we've known them will change forever. It doesn't mean it's bad. but we'll have to live within the consumption of the planet's resources that 5 or 6% of the world's population deserves to live within. We won't have access to 25% of the world's resources to make ours a North American life. It's okay. We'll live like they do in the UK. We'll live maybe like they do in Australia. Very well off, but just different. It's not going to be quite as wasteful and bountiful. But we have some strengths. If our country can stay together, we have tremendous natural resources and a tremendously educated population. So I'm not sure that it'll be forever. I just think there'll be a period of adjustment, which could include financial panic. And then we'll have to set about moving forward. And in all those scenarios I see that I just discussed, I really don't see that the world is going to go back to just-in-time supply lines and we're friends with China. And we're backing China as a developing nation, and we're going to revisit the end of the Cold War, where Clinton and Yeltsin talked about Russia joining. And it might have been Putin later on, but anyway, Russia talked with the United States about joining NATO. I don't think we're going back where we have friendly relations with China, unfortunately, with Russia, unfortunately. And the Middle East, I don't see us, our soft power, our power of our example, meaning anything in the Middle East anymore. And I don't think our military is going to mean that much in the Middle East anymore. Soviet weaponry is better than ours right now. So if the S-200 and the hypersonic missiles prove more effective than our weapons, it's not hard for the king to buy arms from Russia instead of from the United States. If one of our aircraft carriers goes down on an attack from Iran, which is possible, I hope not, but they have hypersonic missiles we can't fight against. Maybe we have lasers that'll take them down. I don't know. I'm not a military expert, but what I see out there doesn't look good for us. We have a woke Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and we don't have enough people. We haven't met our recruiting goals, and we can't fight 3 wars. So I don't see the world going back to the way it was under Obama. Let's just pick Obama. We all love him. He was cuddly, folks. I don't see us going back to that. I don't see us going back to Bill Clinton times. Another cuddly, great guy. So I think we have to get ready for what's coming. And the biggest message I got to get across, I think, is that the stock market has been run by pools of money. They focus on 6 or 7 stocks. NVIDIA may be the greatest thing since sliced bread, depending on which country you buy your sliced bread. But it's trading at 70 times its earnings. Now, they expect their earnings to double. They expect that chip to rule the world. But that's pretty high. That's a pretty high PE ratio. So they've focused your wealth into 6 or 7 stocks. And there's been an underinvestment in oil and gas, mining, of the precious metals and the boring metals. We've turned our housing into financial investments, bonds. Is that going to last? I don't know. But I just think things are going to change, and I think we need to focus on all that. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Barbara. Out of respect, I'll answer these because I gave you my view. It only seems fair that you should have a chance to say what you think, Mahmoud. You go back for 30 centuries, and we remember everything and everyone whose life was stolen. Well, I actually think all of us go back, depending on whose history you read, all of us go back as much as 400 to 600,000 years, and we all originate from a very small group of human beings. Some people say it's 100,000, 150,000. And Mahmoud, if you want to believe what the Old Testament talks about, it being a land of giants, and connect that with other frame of thought about the Nephilim and maybe potentially other entities who were here before us, our history may go back even longer than that. But the human race, apparently, during one of the ice ages, and I don't claim to have a memory of all these times, but the human race, according to scientists, reduced to a population as small as 40,000 people. So 40,000 people. So all the blacks, all the Chinese, all the Africans, all the Jews, all the honkies, all the tall people, all the Russians, the Rus, all the Scandinavians, all the Indians, all came from 40,000 people. So Mahmoud, you can start 30 centuries ago. But I actually think you're being a little arbitrary in your start. But you remember everything and everyone's life who was stolen. And I can't tell if you're Jewish or not. But if you're talking about the horror of the Holocaust, I agree with you 100%. There's nothing more horrible. And I would imagine that there's many who survived that Holocaust who would be horrified by what Netanyahu is wreaking on the Palestinian people today. But yeah, I certainly think that the slaughter, the genocide, the cold-blooded killing, the cruelty doesn't even describe what happened to the Jews in all of those camps run by Germany, by the army, not by the people. Well, the people didn't say anything. A lot of the people didn't say anything. Apparently, the Catholic Church didn't say anything. So it's interesting. It's just interesting how we each have our moral tests. Ella Missouri. Okay, I'll look that up. L.A. Marzulli. L.A. Sounds familiar. Marzulli. It sounds familiar. Yeah, Ham's coming. He's at rehab, and he might come on at 1:15, so you can be done with me. Where is Sada? Hey, Barbara. Yeah, the 15-year-old bombed in Israel is terrible. That's a child. It's a terrible thing. Absolutely terrible. I hate the killing on both sides, Michael. I don't know. I would submit to you that 40,000, 50,000, and that's just an estimate. that number could grow to 150,000 once they dig up the rubble. Children killed in Gaza, 15 years old and younger. I'm telling you, tens of thousands, 100,000. It's a lot. And they're human too. They're human too. But Michael, there's a lot of 15-year-olds in Israel today, and it's horrible what's happening. I want Netanyahu to stop away from war, step back from war. So the children of Israel are not hurt as well. But the children of Israel have clean water, they have food, they have a warm place to sleep, they can fly out. They can go to the Bronx. They can go to Moscow. They can go to London, wherever they want to go, if their parents want to take them. But in Gaza, those children can't go anywhere. There's nowhere to go. They can't hop a flight. They can't hop a boat. They can't go into Egypt. If they go to where the Israelis tell them to go, they get shot. They have no place to go. They don't have clean water. Polio is making a comeback. Polio, which is eradicated in the world. Polio is coming back to the children of Gaza Strip. Starving, distended stomachs. I don't know, Michael. I feel really badly, and I do, for the 15-year-old bombed in Israel. That's a horrible, horrible thing that happened to that 15-year-old. And I sincerely mean it. The war's got to stop. Iran has said they want to wipe Israel off the map, and they are funding these other countries to create a war. Yes, we would all want peace. I've never heard Iran make that claim, but I'm willing to say that I've read it enough in the news that maybe it's true. My understanding is the Iranian regime has been measured in their response. Right now, there's a news blackout, so I don't know. And that Iran really doesn't want war right now with Israel. Michael, what you have to worry about is Russia as well as Iran, Egypt as well as Iran, Turkey. And I hope that, I don't know, Michael, I don't know where you're going. The answer to a country that says they want to wipe a country off the face of the map is to back that same country that's being threatened in the extermination of another people? Is that what Iran's upset about? Is Iran the only country in the Middle East sticking up for the Palestinians? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to make comment. But to just pick one thing out of an argument, it doesn't sound like it's a complete analysis of what got us where we are, us being the Middle East. Look at the past. Who starts the wars in the Middle East? Not Israel. We're so innocent here. We don't know our history. We don't know much. There was a guy named Menachem Begin and another guy named Sadat. Not Sadat, sorry. Not Sadat. Yosha Moyen. I've got a Biden brain. But in the 40s, they took tanks, they took jeeps, they took arms, and they were organized. And they took over swaths of Palestine, which the Bible says belongs to them for 3,000 years. And the Israeli Bible, my Old Testament, our God did a lot of smiting and smoting back then. So maybe it's good for us to smite and smote. But no, Michael, you're wrong. Israel did start the war in Palestine. Israel did start the wars in the Middle East. So if you want to hide behind niceties and precise definitions, you can. But the fact is that farms, olive groves that took thousands of years to grow, towns homes were destroyed by Israelis, and the Palestinians were kicked out of their towns and their homes and told to go live elsewhere. And much like some of our forebears here in the United States did with the native population, Israel made promises to Palestine. And if you look, Palestinians, and if you look at the map, it looked like Swiss cheese a little bit, where the Palestinians were going to live and all that. But now it's all Israel. So I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you at all. Policial? Hey, thank you. I just am petrified. One, for the people in Palestine and those that are getting killed in Israel, the children, and we can all agree on children, can't we? The women being killed, the men, who needs men? But I'm petrified that we're going to war. I'm petrified. Palestine isn't even a real country. Emperor Hadrian renamed the region after Israel's enemies, the Philistines, just out of spite. That's history. Makes sense, but that's Emperor Hadrian. If you go by that logic, let's pick a place. Romania didn't exist. The people that lived there existed. They come from Rome. If you go back far enough, Ireland existed. Some semblance of Italy existed, of course. Germany didn't exist. The United States didn't exist. Russia did. Russia did. Sweden, Poland. So Transjordan didn't exist. This thing called Iraq, this thing called Saudi Arabia, this thing called Iran as it's drawn didn't exist. The Ottoman Empire existed after Rome. The Ottoman Empire existed. The whirling dervishes. They picked the wrong side in World War I, but it was a dying empire anyway. And Lawrence of Arabia, in large part, was fighting the Ottoman Empire as much as the British. So the war changed the Middle East and the Holy Land, and it was the British and the French, the Picot Agreement, the Balfour Agreement. They drew the lines in the stands. And if you want to say that Palestine did not exist, therefore Palestinians don't exist, they're not human, we can kill them like vermin, I don't agree with you. You name a country, Palestine. You name a state, New Mexico. You name a state, Arizona. What does it matter what you call the piece of land? There's human beings that live there. And you admit right there, Apollyon, you admit right there that Palestinians, I mean, you don't say it outright, but Arabs lived in what Emperor Hadrian called Palestine. But they lived there back when I guess the land was promised to Israel. I don't know about the God in the Old Testament. I know what I think I understand about the God in the New Testament. It's the same God as far as I know. But I do not think that God would want Palestinians slaughtered for a vague promise. Where does it stop? Have you seen Greater Israel? Greater Israel goes into Egypt and it goes into Iran, it goes into Iraq, it goes south into Saudi Arabia. And all those people have to be killed for a vague promise? What is Israel, Apollyon? What is Israel? Is it sands in the desert, or is it an idea? Is it a belief? Is it a love? Is it God's people? I don't know, but you seem pretty sure. My point is, Israel was there first. They are the only country to be gone and come back. Well, you know more about it than I do. I guess Israel, I don't know. I don't know. I'm stretching my understanding of history. That's an interesting question. I wouldn't mind studying it. When Moses took the freed slaves from Egypt, from the Pharaoh, to the Holy Land, to Canaan, and trying to remember what he overlooked, but he never got in. He never got in, but he brought them there. Who was there then? Who was there then beforehand? I don't know. So you may have, maybe they were the first. They came with the Exodus. I have a feeling that Arabs have lived in the Middle East and at Northern Africa for a lot longer than 3,000 years, and that the trails that go into Asia and even into China and across Africa were around a lot longer than 2 centuries. But if we want to just take history back to 2 centuries ago, maybe you're right. That's a good thing to go refresh my knowledge of my weak knowledge of ancient history on. I'd like to do that. I'll try to find a book on it. The only 2 countries in the history to be founded on God of the Bible are Israel and the United States. Well, I don't think that condones the United States slaughtering people. Um, uh, okay, your distinction is the God of the Bible, because I would say that Saudi Arabia was founded on the Quran, or pretty close to it, but that's not the God of the Bible, I guess. I don't know what you would call when Rome split in two and Constantine dedicated himself to the cross and created Constantinople instead of whatever it was called back then. That wasn't really a country, but that was kind of founded on God. The Holy Roman Empire, is it a country? Probably not, but that's a lot of countries inside of the Holy Roman Empire, which I think were founded on God and the God of the Bible. Russia, it depends on your definition of founded, but Russia was based on the Christian faith, and it goes back almost as far as Christ. I mean, it's hard when a country exists, predates Christ, and you base your definition of founding of a country on the Bible of God. Of it's kind of hard. Yeah, if that's the way, then I guess there's only two countries: United States and Israel, and everyone else can be slaughtered. Scotland? Yeah, we're doing it protecting our interests. I don't know. I'm trying to debate here some things I don't know. But the scariest thing is how quickly it can escalate. My gosh, it can escalate. That's what scares me. And while we get all worked up and, well, look what happened and that happened. Look what happened in North Carolina. And nobody cares. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands of people dead. I know it's not Palestinians doing it, but God, we got this hatred we have. It can lead to just horrible. Ham comes on at 1:30. What is this? When you put out an alert for a stock, not a sell or buy, or an alert, do the shorts. When we do, I don't put out alerts, but I guess you're talking about maybe a Roth Capital. If they put out an alert on Finger, would the shorts look at that? No. I think the shorts only look at one thing. If they can get Jeff Easton or Yorkville Advisors or one of a plethora of groups to get the CEO to sign a toxic financing, that's all the shorts care about. What does that do? It allows the shorts to give to the prime broker, with the backing of a lying lawyer, check the box that, well, we're going to get stock in 6 months. Now, technically, that's a violation of Reg Show, but no one enforces it. So they know they're going to get stock in the future. And then the shorts go to more than one prime broker, and they multiply that promise over and over again. That's all the shorts care about. They don't care about news. They don't care about alerts. They don't care about research. They don't care about anything. And if the stock goes up, like a GME and AMC, finger motion before they sold 100 million shares, they'll bribe somebody to come out with a COSM. They'll bribe a CEO to say, look, we'll raise some money for you. Go into these spaces, tell them that you're fighting for them, raise some money, and we'll make sure you have more money than Croesus. And then the shorts can just short 100 million shares of Finger from $9 under a dollar, and no one cares. No one cares. So no, I don't think the shorts pay attention to any of that. I do think the shorts go to conferences, they go to breakout rooms, they try to find out if there's some news event that's going to change the story overnight. For example, a Northwest Biosystems might get an approval on a drug, but notice how that even the shorts can afford lawyers and advocates to go in and delay approval processes. As long as things take a long time, the shorts are in hog heaven. They're in hog heaven. So the only thing they're not ready for is a surprise and something that comes with a rush and sustains. If it triggers that they panic and they're losing money and they buy in and they walk away from their LLCs, then you can see a stock go to $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever the hey. But if they can get their friends at Citadel or their friends at SAC to bail them out like Mervin Capital did, Mervin, whatever, and rescue their losses, their total wipeout losses in AMC and GME, well, then they buy time and then they just start shorting it back down and they make back everything they ever lost. This is a criminality that's allowed by Adina Friedman, Gary Gensler, Robert Cook, Ann Wagner, Congress, journalists, your broker-dealers, your broker, Goldman Sachs, and they don't care about any of that. They're not scared of the stock. They trade without fear because they control all levers. They control everything except for him and except for when they lose money and there's a buy-in. But that's such a narrow path to victory for us, to use the political analogy. Yeah, war is ugly, and I don't want the war. I don't want the war. What I'm amazed with, Michael, is 1914. So it's about 110 years. I'm just amazed at how it's what we read in history. But I'm amazed how it works. That as older people die, as all the soldiers from World War I die, as all the people that were hurt from World War I pass away, and now World War II, and I'd say even Vietnam, you guys don't know anything about Vietnam, but a lot of those men, not women, men that were injured, handicapped in that war, are dying. And what's amazing, I remember when the United States was anti-war, and I had a girlfriend, really I did, and I went to see that movie Top Gun, and I said to her, she of course was wondering what was going on Friday night. I said to her, oh no, we're going to war. And we did. It didn't take much to change that anti-war sentiment to pro-war. And now basically 100 years later, basically 4 generations, I think, maybe 5, the world's ready for war again. War is awful, and it's not containable. And these poor children that have been killed in Israel on October 7th, and this 15-year-old, no one's going to remember their name when 100 million people die in a nuclear exchange. No one's going to remember it. It won't even be in the history books. Same with all the Palestinians. No one knows their names. There's no TV coverage. They're not wearing a red skirt. They're not out celebrating their freedom in an open air market and music festival because they're less than human. Let's see. Oh, for you as a buyer, a seller, if you put an alert on a stock, do the shorts? I don't know about alerts, but I do believe RW, there never used to be, well, let me say it differently. There's no need for market makers anymore. There used to be market makers. And so what would happen is the market maker could see your order, not your alert. I don't think they see your alert unless Ann Wagner lets the shorts have access to your information in your account, but she won't let you see the trades, the blue sheets. I don't know. Maybe there's some hypersonic, hyper vigilant, hyper AI mechanism that the brokerage firm sees your alert and they share it with the shorts, maybe, but I don't think so. But market makers used to see both sides of the trade. They'd see the whole thing, and you can see it now on level 1, level 2, and etc. But I don't really think that these market makers that the shorts use need to exist other than to provide the exemption for Reg Show. And I do believe those guys will share your stop loss orders. Or if you have a limit order, I think they'll share that information. Because I don't think the market maker trades most of the time. Maybe. And maybe if they have day traders. That's what they used to do. To maintain an orderly market, they would use, if you had a stop loss 10 cents under the market, and they had to fill an order, I don't know, at 20, it's hard for me to recreate, but they had to buy a bunch of stock that was for sale. They might, or they had, and then in this example, they had to sell a bunch of stock. They had to give it to maintain an orderly market. They might come down to your order to get your shares. I'm mixing my story because your order could be a buy or a sell, and I didn't clarify that. But that's what they would do. They would use, real market makers would use that 5 cents, that 10 cents, that 3 cents to make a quick profit, but they'd offset it against the risk or a loss they're taking on the other side of the trade. And that would be some volatility. But their mandate was to maintain an orderly market. That's what trading halts were for, when their order book got out of balance. But RW, in this modern world, if I search to buy a gift for my sister, if I search votive candles on Google, the next thing I know, I get advertisements for candles for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So it's possible they have an AI system that would provide that information. I don't know of it, though. I don't know of it. When they busted Luft, did any stocks he was in squeeze? Not to my knowledge, but I think we're seeing a lot of stocks popcorn. You know, they're bubbling up, they're popping up. Maybe that's from Andrew Left. I don't know. There's been some, you know, you guys, Miles, have given me a bunch of stocks that have gone up. I called the SEC today. They hung up on you. See, they're making us be the ones that are wacky. Yeah, Matthew, we're talking about investing. I felt it was fair to try to answer some of the feedback, but I will agree with you, Matthew. Other than as an observer, I don't know anything about war or military things. Yeah, I think that's true, and I think belted cows. I think part of that is it might be for our banks. War is a way to save our banks. War is a way to save our debt. War is a way to save our financial markets. Yeah, fun. PHUN. I don't have anything to add, but I recognize it. Don't believe what you read. The Bible was recreated many times. Well, it certainly doesn't seem to be all inclusive, does it? But I don't think at the core of it, now I know that God evolved when in the Catholic, when his son came and, you know, and it's more peaceful. But I don't think God would condone the slaughter of an entire people for a few grains of desert. But that's just my view. I wouldn't want to live there, but then I live in a country where one could argue that's what we did. And in Australia, you know, I was in Tanzania for a wedding, and I loved it. It was beautiful. I told the woman she was hosting the party, and she was much taller than I was, a matron, and she was in her 50s, jewels bedecking her every available body part, like the neck and arms, and she might have even had something on her head or ears. But she was asking how I found Tanzania. I might have already told you the story now that I'm saying it. And I said, I love it. I said, the bay, the boats, the water, the hills, it's gorgeous. I said, if these homes were in San Francisco, you guys would be, you know, worth tens of millions of dollars each. But I said, the only thing that bothers me is everyone here is white. There's no minorities at all. We would now say in my country, there's no African Americans. It's all white. It's a little bit unnerving. And she looked at me over her drink and she said, well, that's because we shot them all. I felt ill. I said thank you and walked away and went outside to catch my breath. And then I asked my friend, I said, what the hell was she talking about? And apparently they used to go out with flashlights and in their Jeeps and they'd hunt the Aborigines. It just it really makes you want to vomit when you hear these stories. Scotland? Scotland? Ah, no. No, Apiolon, I'm not trying to confront you either, and I recognize it's a volatile subject, and I also appreciate for Michael, for you, everybody, Mahmoud, I guess. I'm glad you spoke back, stated what you think. Just because I think it doesn't mean it's right. So I appreciate the discussion, and that's all we can do, isn't it? That's all we can do is talk about it and try to understand where the truth lies. And then we can ask, do lawyers lie while they lay? Or do they lay while they lie? We all know they lie while they law. Yeah, no one is coming to the talks. Netanyahu doesn't want peace. Netanyahu is a congenital liar, and he's been a liar since he got up in front of moot court when he was a law student when he was 24. Benjamin Netanyahu is a liar. Of course, that's my opinion. So you only have 10 more minutes before the hamster calls in. 12 more minutes. 12 more minutes. Hey, Barbara. I think Barbara's my age. I don't know. But she remembers what war's like. Iran is, yeah, I hate that Iran says that, by the way. I'm not against Israel existing. I think Israel has a right to exist. Trump will stop the wars. Trump said in a debate, I just want to stop the killing. That's what he said. I just want to stop the killing. Telling the truth is standing for humanity's. There's Sada. Bless you, Sada. Mahmoud, I am not condoning. No, I don't think you are. I don't think you're condoning that, Mahmoud. I have no right. I already answered that, I think. Thank you, Zizu. It's more about supporting them. I don't want to be right. I don't want to. I want the war to stop. I want the killing to stop. And you know what would make me proud is if the United States of America went into Gaza Strip with 100,000 troops, and we brought water and medicine and food and CBs, and we built schools, and we tore down that wall. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. And we stood there and we said to the IDF, if you shoot one more of these innocent children, because they are innocent, our 100,000 troops are ready to go against you. That would make me proud. And then Netanyahu would go, gulp, I better not do that. That's how I feel about it. I don't like Netanyahu. I think he's a fat hockey puck. Hey, John, do not speak for the Jews. I didn't, and I don't. I can only speak for myself and my reactions. Although my brother thinks that we, somewhere in our lineage, maybe it's my nose, I don't know. My nose could be Italian, though, see? It could just be a Roman, Italian nose. I didn't speak for the Jews, and I don't claim to. Jesus not only was a Jew, he is a Jew. Jesus is a Jew. So I don't know why we have to. But I promise I won't speak for the Jews. I don't think one Jew can speak for the Jews. There's so many different points of view. It's amazing. So, and it's honest. Ham is the only info worth listening to outside of this dribble. Well, Mahmoud, when Ham comes on, I'll step away and you can listen to Ham. I don't think the content of my channel was ever that great. But if standing up for Palestinian children means my channel has deteriorated, well, that's the price I have to pay. I have no idea what's happening in the Middle East. I think the news doesn't give us the information, but I try to get it from all sources. And I do think I have an idea, but I don't think you know. But I do think I have some understanding. It's not comprehensive, though. It is not comprehensive. The UK did the same in India. Yeah, they did. It's drivel, by the way. I don't know what dribble is, but what you want to say is what a bunch of drivel, not dribble. Dribble, I think, is what comes out of, a beard. Drivel. Stop with the propaganda. I think the propaganda is on the other side. Hey, Nunya. You don't hear Palestine Hamazaki want peace. Do you hear Palestine? Palestine, you just said they don't exist. Do you hear Palestine? Do you hear Hamas? I don't know. But yeah, I'd say that it's gotten to the point on both sides, by the way, where war. You know what Churchill said? It's better to jaw than war. That's what Churchill said. It's better to jaw than war. And that's kind of what we're doing. And I respect Mahmoud and Michael and John and others for jawing. At least we're not dropping bombs. Hi, Sada Aman. You must be rich in NVIDIA. By the way, Sada, if you still have logic, I think it's going to go 16, 17, 18 cents. Israel didn't start the war. These other countries want to wipe Israel off the map. Well, I guess Israel will get there first. Very sad, William. The West supports this war. Yeah, we're headed to war. I guess that's my main takeaway is we are going to war. And so it's the stock market, I still think, is going to go up massively in the next 90 days. And I think silver will double. I used to say triple, but it's already up. I think the markets will be up 30 to 50% in 90 days. And I don't think Trump will be our next president. I think he will get elected, and I might go live that night just for myself. Everybody's welcome to come on. I know Ace is going to go live. You're probably better off over there, but I think Trump will win, but I think Kamala is going to be our president. And I think the banks want to take us to war. I don't think they've taken enough loot yet. And it's kind of scary stuff. But it's interesting to hear some of the feedback because it's right out of some of the stuff you read from the press, some of what you hear from young people living on one side of the conflict. So it's interesting to hear why we're going to go to war. And I would say that there's a lot of support for the war, a lot of support. But I don't think these people, from Mahmoud down to Michael and some others, I don't think they realize that Putin, for one, if this war goes nuclear, Putin has made it clear that the United States will experience the war. We will suffer here between the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. We are going to receive bombs, killing, slaughter. And so it's nice to have a point of view. And I would say, even if I'm 100% wrong and the other side's 100% right, I still ask the same question. Why should we go to war? I still ask that same question. They're focusing on Lower Appalachia. What's in Lower Appalachia? Coal? Lithium? Yeah, the BRICS meeting, Joe. Joe, the biggest problem with the BRICS threat to the dollar is they cannot create the Federal Reserve. They cannot create the body of law. They cannot create court systems, and they cannot create deep financial markets as quickly as we can destroy ours. And we are destroying ours. But it took 200 years to create ours. I think Dubai could create the place and the framework of law. I think Russia, Iran, I don't know about India so much, but maybe China, certainly somewhere in Southeast Asia, and maybe one or two of the African countries could create this deep market, but it'll take time. It won't happen overnight. So I don't think BRICS will be an immediate threat to the dollar, but I bet the dollar goes down to 40% very quickly of the world's reserves, because under Joe Biden, under Kamala Harris, under Victoria Nuland, under Anthony Blinken, and frankly under Obama, we have used the SWIFT system as a weapon against Russia, Iran, other countries, just like Letitia Jones just did to Trump's assets in New York. People are saying, hey, that can happen to me. Countries are saying, look, if the United States can steal bonds from Russia, they can steal our reserves. So we're going to switch out of the SWIFT system. And in this time when computers can create Bitcoin and Russian scientists every bit as smart as ours, and Iranian scientists every bit as smart as ours, Indian scientists every bit as smart as ours, Chinese scientists every bit as smart as, and so on and so on, Israeli scientists, they can create an alternative very quickly to the SWIFT system. And that's really what BRICS will be. And then if people are willing to trade in whatever the BRICS system comes up with, there'll be some friction. In the dollar, you can make a trade in New York City and you can be spending that money in Singapore that day, and there's very little friction. There'll be a lot of friction using the BRICS system. But if they, because of their hatred for Israel and the United States, and that's really, if you can ignore my sort of more personal or emotional side, the real thing that's happening in the Middle East, the rest of the world is going to go against Israel and the United States. France, waffle. UK, They're like a tick on an elephant. If our power goes down, their tick will go over to China, or their tick will go over to Russia. I don't see the UK, maybe for a while, but basically Canada probably will stick with us. Do they have a choice? Australia probably stick with us. Maybe. I don't think India will. So it'll be the United States against the world. And I don't think that's very pretty. And I don't think we needed to be there. You know that? I think we could have looked out for Israel just as powerfully if we had stayed an independent, honest broker. All right, here, thank God you get to listen to him. Mahmoud, I'm going to step away so you don't have to listen to my dribble. All right, the speaker went away. Hang on. All right, it's taking a second.
Battery 100%. Connected to Phil Zeifel.
All right, so you're ready. You are ready. And
I just wanted to hit one thing up.
Yeah.
Just checking something. Guy beat my ass today at rehab. God damn. As I'm looking at time and sales, and all I see is these small 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, the whole thing, you know. It's the same nonsense. It was 190. It was 198 when I was at rehab, and I saw them put a print down at 188, and I guess it was like 10 to 12,000 shares. So that was a wash. If anyone can give me that amount, it was 198. The next trade was 188 on 10 to 12,000 shares. It was 75,000, and it went to 80 something thousand. But then again, it's the same nonsense. Doesn't make a difference. If you just look at DJT once again, you know, if you are playing by the dips, you're getting your dip. You know, you had your dip right here, and get your rip. You know, the next spike, the longer it stays up on the day, that means the spike is coming higher later on because the shorts are trying to cover. With 10 trading days to go, Trump is going to win. These guys are in a little bit of a tizzy. Finger motion does not have the president of the United States that owns the stock, so it's a little different. And I've been saying this for a while. If there's any stock that's going to go, it's got to be that one. All right, so one other thing I wanted to report on, William, and people, this is a little knowledge for you down the road. Insiders get stock from working for the companies, and they are allowed to sell it. And I'm going to give you an example of one. Jeffries, the CEO, sold 1.5 million shares at $43. He used it to buy a boat and some tax thing he had to go. Other CEOs have these same issues, but God forbid, CBM, Northwest Bio, all these guys have been CEOs for years. They're not allowed to sell a share because if they sell a share, the shorts will beat you up and say, oh, their CEO's selling, and you know, it becomes a disgusting attack by the short sellers. Jeffries did it. He sold it, and it was a positive event. The stock went to $65. How is it that Wall Street could sell shares and it's a positive event? Everybody else sells shares and you get attacked for it. And I'm sure you could look at every research report. They always put in there. And you got to remember, there's insider selling in the stock. There's insider selling. Insiders sell for the wrong reasons. Never believe that nonsense. If they were selling stock and the company was going to announce fraudulent numbers tomorrow, they would go to jail for that. So they can't do that. So I just wanted to touch on that because I just remember that. Insider buying is important. Insider selling is a non-event. The short sellers turned insider selling in all these small companies as a criminal offense. So imagine being a CEO of XXII, it's $1 stock, the guy sells 100,000 shares. Well, it's 11 cent stock now. What the hell happened here? Well, Another stock that's going to the heap. XXII. I used to follow that one. Just amazing. All the stocks are pennies. Pennies. But if they ever sold their shares, they would be pennies. That's what they do. The short sellers in XXII has to have a billion shares short. I've been following this for a long time. And it's been nothing but making short it down. But yeah, again, insider buying is important. Insider selling is a waste of time. It's just how Wall Street views it, is how you know, Jeffrey sold it, no big deal. He's buying a boat. Good for him. Take the stock higher. Everybody else who does it, William, they slaughter them.
Yep.
The negative stories come out. Everything comes out about it.
Yep.
I'm just trying to pull up a chart on XXII. I don't even know when it got destroyed because it was 88 cents and last I saw $1. And then it goes. There it goes. Wow. Straight down. Glad they went public, right? All these companies get killed. Again, talking about just moving along. Again, I talked about insider selling. Jeffrey's CEO sold it. Stock went up $20. Finger motion. Remember I told you yesterday, if I was the real short, everybody on this phone, you can go ask any professional trader. When they start seeing fives, any sizable amount for sale, you scoop them up. And if the stock rallies, you can always re-short it again. But the real short in this stock is not allowed to scoop up unless he gets instructions from the naked short, in which case they wash it for them. So most of the trades today have been on the plus tick, meaning they've been taking the offers. And the only trades that are going the down ticks are the wash trades. You can actually see it's pretty easy. And if the SEC just monitored whoever is crossing these trades, there's your short seller. You can see the stock doesn't even trade unless it's initiated by the criminals. All right, so we're down to 10 days. In 3 hours or 2.5 hours, we will be down to 9 trading days. And again, if you don't know who Pat Byrne is, Pat Byrne will destroy these characters. He hates naked short sellers more than anyone. All right, and he told us in his recording that he's coming and he's got offered a position. And he's in the administration. He's going to get rid of the bad people in stock settlement. And if you look at, if you're following DJT, just follow John Tobacco, Wise Guys, at Wise Guys, I think it's called. He's putting up there. He said that there's new information, William, that they were laying into it again, big shorts and DJT.
Wow.
And he thinks that they're planning another assassination attempt.
Oh God!
It's the same thing that happened before.
Oh.
Yeah, he posted that before. He shows the data. Also, I found a picture of you, William, at the gym. I put it at the rehab center. I put it up.
Huh. That must go back to another lifetime.
And it's got 26 likes, so I guess people enjoyed it. I was sitting there being tortured. Just let me tell everybody, just the torture today. You lay on your stomach and you put your knee is off the table and they put a towel on the top of your thigh and you're laying on top of it. And you're trying to let your leg hang down so that the bones get straight. Well, I was laying like that for a couple of minutes. The guy came over and strapped me down to the table and put weight on my ankle to drag my leg the reverse way. After moaning for a couple of minutes, he finally took the strap off. And I said to the girl, "Am I the only person here crying?" They all said yes. It was brutal, terrible. And then when you get up, you can't walk because your leg is basically just shot from him torturing you. But again, I put the photo, I looked up and I saw that photo and I was thinking of you. And here it is, another trade. Whenever you get a bid, they just hit the bids. They just wash it back and forth. Again, the stock has been for sale for months, every trade. And I think we're going to get an update on one of the people fighting in the MMTLP has got some scoop about Finger Motion and DJT trading on this FINRA exchange, where FINRA is actually helping naked short sellers. So we'll get a report on that, or an update on that this weekend. And I don't know much about it. I will find out when I read it. But it's more proof that these exchanges are helping facilitate short sales and actually hurt the companies. So we'll get information about that. These are people that are doing good work and should be applauded for what they're doing, helping us sell out. So again, we all help each other. That's what it's all about. Again, person asked about GameStop today. GameStop sold shares to the shorts. They covered shorts here, I guess. I don't know how many, but for the most, the stock is now a fundamental play. So if you want to invest in it, it's a fundamental play. What they're going to do with their money, I don't know. My message to Ryan Cohen is buy a brokerage firm and you become Jeffries or Robin Hood, and you could just take their market cap from them. You know, I don't know what Robin Hood's market cap is, but they're just an electronic platform and taking your orders and selling them to Citadel. So you might as well take over that part of the business, right? And that's what he should be doing. So please just do your homework on GameStop. It's right there. You know, every day when the shareholders rally it back up, there's not enough buying to keep moving it anymore, and it just slides back down the hill. The story is gone. The sexy story about the short squeeze. The company raised billions of dollars from this little charade. All right, we all want to get part of that. So Ryan Cohen and those guys, I told you, open up a brokerage firm, join the big boys here, and you can really abuse them then and really become a hero. But most guys won't do that. All right, I'll just touch base. I've been watching GDC. It's been acting like shit. It's moved up a little bit here today. That NIXX, I heard the story last week. It was going to 14 to 15 bucks. It started going. It's just drifting here. I know people that bought a lot of stock, but they're professional people. So if you want to play it, play it. Buy the dip, sell the rip. That's what I hear there. I know nothing about the company. I know nothing else about it. So, I'm not recommending it. I'm just telling you what I heard. I do not own it.
What did you hear?
That they're going to squeeze it to $15 on the next run. That's all I know. But it's not for me. I'm not involved, and I don't know the name. And that's it, What else am I following? MLSS, doing nothing. I hear the earnings are coming out next week, or when they come out, they're going to be good, and they're going to have, hopefully, the government contracts will be in there. That's what I know about it. I paid $1.01. I'm down 20%. It's 80 to 84 cents. That just shows you no matter what companies you invest in, they're everywhere. Who's in a rush to sell this stock down? The company's got money in the bank. It's got technology, everything, and the shorts just try to push it down. No matter what it is. TELO, TELO, extend your life. The stock is $4.45. Came public at $7. There's no reason for it. Why are they selling this stock down? I can understand selling the NVIDIA down, but TELO, TELO, what are you going after them for? Again, I don't know these names. I'm just touching base on all of them. I just hop around, so you get it. You can hear about them. If you do own them, we do follow them. But again, I can't do it full time. I just can't do it. All right, I gave full time to Finger Motion a couple of years ago. Not that I know it was going to turn into a triple full-time job, but chasing these criminals around. But it's just amazing. No matter what the company says, no matter what they do, there's always a seller. Whether it's 1 share, 100 shares, wash trades, there's always a seller. And they're just trying to con everybody, and they want you to believe there is no short here. We've seen it. We all can see the action in the stock, the manipulation, the here. The same crew that was doing it to DJT, pushing it down to 12, was sending the same message to those shareholders. There's no short here. Get out. The company's garbage. The insiders are selling, right? All that stuff came out. Well, everything they said was completely wrong. And the shorts, because of the presidential election coming up, are now shitting their pants and trying to cover. And they deserve the beating that they're getting. And I'm sure when Trump gets in, I don't know how he hasn't spoken up about it yet, but I think if he does step up and just says anybody shorting the stock market, we'll go to prison. That's all he has to say. And his stock will just triple in a minute, and everybody else will follow. He knows about it. We sent messages. We had someone deliver the message straight to him down in Palm Beach. And, everyone knows. I just don't know how they don't incorporate it into one of his press releases or whatever it may be. So DJT, when we started the call, was only up 85 cents. Now it's up $1.29 now. So again, buying these dips, they all seem to work out. You do that trade until it doesn't work out. Just be careful when it does. When it doesn't work out, these things have a tendency to drop. So be quick, be nimble. Just keep playing the game. You lower your costs, make a few bucks, and move along. Again, there's no diamond hands here. You're just trying to make a living. All right. And that's what I'm going to help me and William going to start doing in another 10 days. I'm going to start trading stocks just to make a daily living so that we go out and enjoy dinner every night like everybody else does. We want to get in that game. What else, William? Have any questions about anything?
Well, one guy was asking, when you put alerts in on your brokerage account, do you think that data gets to the so-called market makers and the shorts? If you put an alert as if the stock goes to 50, I want to know, do you think that data gets to the shorts?
I think they're compiling anything that you put into your computer. I think they're compiling.
Wow. Except for the blue sheets. We can't get that.
They can't figure that out. What did they get? 14 lawyers defending FINRA from telling us that FINRA told us they did a blue sheet investigation to the SEC, and now they're defending everything not to show everybody the numbers. People, I'm just lost for words that the government has allowed this to continue. And I'm sure the good people at the SEC and the DOJ, they don't give a flying shit about Ken Griffin. No one's making money. I mean, I got it. But to allow guys like, Andrew Left to exist, his partner, she made millions. These people live in Beverly Hills. How many people do you think were on Andrew Left's speed dial when he was writing a report on a stock? How many people do you think was on his partner's, the woman's speed dial? And when she told somebody, who did they tell? That circle's got to be 200 people.
One guy asked, did any of Left's stocks squeeze after he got arrested?
No, he hasn't done anything in such a long time. When he did bash his stock, they went down fast, stopped, and turned and went back up. I used to post and call him wrong way left because every time he did it, his stories were just there to manipulate the price. And I documented it many times. For example, on EXAS, Eddie X-Ray Apple Sam, the stock was 28. He beat it down on his stupid report. He was even on CNBC. You could probably Google it. He was going after a doctor that invented this device to help people with colon cancer to detect it early. In your own home, you can do it. Andrew Left said, no one's going to do it. I'm Andrew Left. I wouldn't do it. No one's going to do that. The stock's for sale. He was on TV saying stupid things like that to a guy who invented it. Well, I used it, and I know many people have. And the stock went from 28 down to 23, where they covered. And then the stock went to 135, and Bristol Myers bought a stake in it. So, I mean, there's plenty of proof about what happens after he shits on you.
You better not say that you used it, because he'll put out a report that it leads to knee surgery.
Well, I don't have colon cancer. I don't care about the Navy. That's what it was about. It's called Cologuard. And this idiot was writing that people would never do it. And people do it all the time. You know, it's a great thing to use for pre-screening for in case God forbid you get that form of cancer. So it's been proven that this is a great thing to use. And this idiot was telling everybody he's wrong. You're wrong. I'm Andrew Left. I watched him kill Etsy, ETSY. $130. It's now 49. They destroyed this company. The shorts were getting squeezed. It had gone up from $80-something to $130. They were dying the shorts. And he came out and said they were selling counterfeit T-shirts. They killed the stock. I haven't followed, since he left or whatever happened in between here. But all right, so finger motion. They just closed the gap. They hit the bid. Now it's 186 to 187. 100 shares up. Whenever you see the spread close to a penny, there'll be a wash trade. That's the only reason they do it. There'll be a wash trade, and this way they because it's the short bidding and the short offering on the 100 shares. It's always amazing that when you see 100 by 100, all of a sudden 12,000 trades. How did they find each other? All you can see is 100 shares. All I can see is 100 shares. No one else can see anything bigger. Get these guys cross it in a second. So we'll see what they print up. I don't know what they're going to do. But again, whenever it closes up like that, they do it for a reason. They're not doing it for anything else. There's no good that comes out of it. I'll close the spread. That'll get everybody scared. No one does that anymore.
What do you think about Northwest Bio? How high can it go?
The problem is the company's got over 1 billion shares now. They wrecked the market cap of the company. And what they do with these technology, biotechs, is the company has to use all its money to develop whatever they're doing. The big drug companies take advantage. They don't want to spend the money on research. They let you do it. They let this company raise money, destroy its market cap. Hopefully they can get the cure for brain cancer, everything. And when they do get it, they could sit there, Merck or somebody will come in and just pay $10 for it, or $8, whatever they're going to pay. It'll be all over the news. Stock goes from 25 cents to $10. Oh my goodness, the greatest trading creation. Yeah, well, that greatest trading creation should have been $12 to $300, but they make it look so ugly that no one would ever believe a company that was 25 cents gets taken over at 10. Right. They'll be writing up stock up thousands of percent, blah, 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 blah. They don't tell you it's been slaughtered for 20 years. That's just how they do it. They do it all the time. So if this company has the technology and they're getting approvals, someone will buy them. They're going to buy them at like $8, $9, $10. They're not going to pay $100 for it. And I guarantee you, someone bids $10. If there's 1 billion shares in the float, I guarantee you they'll be hitting that bid faster than you could shake a stick.
So if there's an announcement, they'll still hit the bid to change the price?
No. I mean, hit the bid, meaning the investors would sell it. People have been in this stock for a long time. I know about it a long time. So if you pay $3, $4, $2, and you got a $10 bid, and you own 50,000 shares, shit, you're going to sell it faster than anything. Because, well, I thought it was going to go higher. Well, it didn't. You want $10, people will take it. That's what happens over time. Time kills all your stories.
That's true.
Time is the killer. So they took the 87 stock for 100 shares, William, right? It went off at 89, and then they came back with another 100 shares at 87. Who is wasting their time? And now it's 200 shares. Yeah, they're definitely warming up to a cross. Who would waste their time just playing this stupid game for 100 shares back and forth? Someone that doesn't want to have the stock gain any momentum.
I I think finger's about to go to 250. That's what I think.
Well, listen, what doesn't go down is going up. All right. Now, I can't tell people to go buy a stock. I'm not going to tell you that. I can only give you the facts, what we think, what's going on. That's up to you. And, I don't want to, your old story, if DJT was $12 to $15, $16, I talked about it every day on here, William.
Yeah.
I said, buy the dips. If you buy it, buy the dips, sell the rips, take your profit and buy cheap calls. Well, those cheap calls were the 20s or the 25s or the 30s. This stock went to 37 almost today. How's that option play? I never get any credit for that. I just get yelled at because I'm talking about finger motion. It didn't move yet. Okay. Well, I don't know DJT. But I can sure as shit tell you when a stock is going to go. That's a skill that most people don't have.
Exactly. And I think you also said buy the dip, sell the rip, and keep doing it. And you've been right about that.
And I said, if you want to keep playing, what I do is buy the dip, sell the rip. If I make $1,000, I take 500 and I buy cheap calls. And if I did that every day, all the ways up, I probably have 400 calls now. And the 400 calls that were 50 cents or $1 are now worth $7. All right? That's they have almost $300,000 in profit now. That's how you look at these things. And you keep doing it. And you people, why am I going to buy the 40s? Well, we said that about the 30s, and now the stock is $36. And that's how it works. And that's how you get to make big money. And again, you have to keep rolling it up, as they say. Finger motion, there's no room to trade. You can't do anything here. So instead of just, either you're accumulating it, moaning that the stock is down, but there's nothing to do. You can only just keep, you wait. We have to getting paid. So, our payday comes because we're waiting it out. And that, you can just see it. Now there's 300 shares at 87, 86, 87, 500 by 300. The battle, it's just a major battle here today we have to watch. As adults, we have to watch this nonsense. And just think about the SEC. DJT has been going up every day. The company's been screaming about making short selling. You think they would stop and say, hey, we're going to step in and stop this naked short selling. It's only the most prominent stock on the board. It's the next president of the United States' company. And they're shorting that stock. I've said that 1,000 times. It doesn't make any sense. Who's doing this? You got to be totally out of your mind. But, Johnny Tobacco put up, he sees the data on the short side. And he says these guys have been loading up again on the short side. Let me give you exactly what he said, William. Hold on a second.
I don't like hearing what you already said.
He wrote, breaking. Are they plotting another attempt to take out Trump? Facts. 2 weeks ago, prior to the Butler attempt, shorts jumped 7 million shares. Last 2 weeks, shorts jumped 12 million shares. It was the same thing, same charts. I'm just going to leave this here. And he put it up, the two charts, the same thing. I just reposted if anyone wants to look at it. He told you 2 weeks ago that 35 was next. It was, in my opinion, 42 is the next resistance. 242, below 50. So, he was a back office guy. He understands. And William, there was a bank that failed, First National Bank of Lindsay. They failed due to fraudulent activities. How's that one?
What'd you say?
A bank failed, and they said they failed due to First National Bank of Lindsay has reported they failed due to fraudulent activities.
Banks don't commit fraud. Only people fighting short selling do.
Right. That is a funny one. But again, there's nothing else I can tell you. These things take time. Unfortunately, I get texts all the time. When's it going to go? When's it going to happen? And my answer to them is that, if you can't handle it anymore, I got it. It sucks. Believe me, we all say the same thing. If you want to feel good about yourself, sell it and go about your way. But again, this fight, even if you don't even have a share involved, it's going to pop up somewhere and get you somewhere else. And DJT is a big, big company that's been under attack. And when they get a hold of you, they kill them. MULN, wipe them out, right? This company, CELU, wiped them out. KNW getting wiped out. GIGM getting wiped out. XXII wiped out.
So go over why they pick a stock to wipe out. Why don't they wipe them all out?
Or they need volume. They're not here to wipe out your company with no volume.
Do they need a note, or they don't need the note? It could be they could pick on a company.
Well, they can pick it based on, like whoever said it before, that when you have an algorithm and you're typing in your computer and you're saying buy finger, they see, oh, look at all these buy things coming in, through finger. Maybe they say, okay, if it trades, trades 100,000 shares a day, and all of a sudden we got 200,000 shares coming to buy, the algorithm kicks in and they start shorting into it. They're looking to make sales. They're looking to make money. They're not looking to just destroy companies. Once they get in and they're able to combat the attack of buying coming into it, whatever the company's doing, once they gain control of it, that's when the stocks go down. That's when they get crushed. Because now they need you to sell it and then to cover. You follow me, William?
Yeah.
They got to get their position on.
I just thought they needed to do one of those toxic notes first, but you're saying they could pick a company.
Yeah, they can pick a company, yeah. Not every company has a toxic note and they destroy them. I mean, CELU had a toxic note from Yorkville. I told him point blank, don't do it. He got crushed. Let me see what that stock is. The 52-week high was $8. That's the reverse, right, William? It was, I forget what it was trading at 20 cents when he did the reverse. And the stock is now $2.30. So just from the $8 reverse, it's down over $5.50. That's after they did the reverse. Repeat, rinse. I keep telling you, it's the same thing. Just start over again.
They're just protecting the public, these shorts.
Right. So in the last few minutes, Finger Motions had this little machine gun of sell orders. Now we're up to 107,000. We're like 104, so up to 107. I don't see any big prints. All of a sudden, I see the volume changing, and it's these machine gun sell orders. I have other things to say. Just I'm sorry that my leg was twisted around like a pretzel all morning, so I'm trying to get comfortable in my chair. What else? I had something else to say, William. If you got any questions, ask William. Let me think. Let me think of what I had to say here. So I talked about Johnny Tobacco. He thinks that they're trying to do something else here. They've been laying into it. How does the SEC? There goes the 186 bid in Finger Motion. 100 shares knocks it out. And that's for the gentleman who says, how does the stock go down with no selling? Oh, there you go. They hit the bid for 100 shares. The bid is the market maker, is the short seller. So he turns around, he buys 100 shares at 86 cents, right? 186. Guess what he does then? He turns around, he sells 100 at 185. unless someone is standing there buying it, that market maker at 185 will then drop and say, I bought stock. And all they're doing is flipping the same 100 shares back and forth. And you turn around, we were just 187. Now we're 184 to 186. And like 300 shares traded. It's the same share passing back and forth. That's it. There's nothing else. There's not even any selling. It's just them. They're moving it back and forth. And they're just saying, William, come on, sell 5,000, William. We're waiting for you. We'll buy you 5,000, William. That's all they're doing. Come on, William. Hurry up, sell it. Listen, the stock had momentum this morning. Looked like it was going to go over 2. And then they come and start doing the cha-cha. It's just pretty easy. If they thought they can win, they let the stock go up, right? It's the same MO. It's the same pattern. Hurry up. We got to get it down. We can't have it positive. We don't want people to believe that there's something going on here. Just because DJT is getting covered, that doesn't mean we're going to cover finger motion today. Now, it could happen tomorrow. It could happen this afternoon. It can happen at any time. If you believe there's a short, then you need to be there. If you don't believe it, then you're listening to like Tokyo Rose here, trying to get the Americans to surrender. We're useless. But we put the truck in front of the SEC, William, correct?
We did.
We called out the SEC to provide proof there was no naked short in the stock. We demanded. We showed them. We gave them the name, everything. And the SEC has said what? Nothing? I told you that one shareholder, his father-in-law works for the SEC in New York as an enforcement attorney. And he said that the SEC is 100% reading the truck, and he believes that they are prosecuting based on things that we had on the truck. That was from a shareholder. And what else can I say? We don't see it because we want these criminals hung yesterday. But we don't, unfortunately, the SEC doesn't operate like that. As you see Gary Gensler all the time. Well, we're in the crime enforcement business. We really can't say, But, they should come out and say, hey, these guys have all been served. Well, we can't do that because if there's no crime, then they lose business because they've been served, unfortunately. So that's why they don't do it. Because if the SEC makes a mistake and you tarnish somebody, that they get in trouble for it. So that's why they're very careful what they do. Hey, William, when is the weather going to change? It's beautiful out here again. How's it in D.C.?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It'll probably election day. There'll be a hurricane through all the close states and cities.
William, I've spoken to 50 people today. They all voted already.
I haven't voted. I'm still making up my mind. I'm nearly there. I think I'm going to go for Kamala Harris. She's leadership for a new generation.
William, you know what? I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go for her too. We're wrong on everything. We might as well vote.
Yeah, might as well be wrong on her. Yeah. Can we short her?
Let's go. Can we short? I think that bet would have paid off already. They've thrown in the towel. They don't even know what they're doing anymore. The people are just yelling at them now. I don't even know how they get the nerve to go and show up anywhere. That's the funny part. Because everywhere they go, people are just booing them, holding signs. Like, listen, like naked short selling, they make believe it doesn't happen. The same thing with this presidential election. This is over with already.
Alan Lichtman is saying that Kamala's going to win. Who the hell is Alan Lichtman?
Who is that?
He's some guy that always calls it right, but he says Kamala's going to win. He's a dweeb at George Washington, I think.
Yeah.
Nate Silver says his gut tells him Donald Trump will come out.
Listen, People, if Trump doesn't get in, your stocks go on the other side. Just become Andrew Left. That's it. Andrew Left had a house he sold for $16 million in Boca Raton. Who knows what he owns in Beverly Hills? His assistant made millions of dollars writing the reports for him. I told you he's an idiot. He needed someone else to do it. Just go do the same thing. If the SEC is listening, I'm advising people, hey, just go be negative on everything. It's easy to do. The CEO's selling stock. The company's doing a secondary. Their drug doesn't work. How do you know? We got someone in the enrollment. They died. You can say anything. Just keep going through. That's the big deal. Destroy the companies. You'll make money. You'll go to dinner. You enjoy your life. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything. Just destroy it. That's the stock market. You can pick any stock you like. If you want to pick a big one, go look at Dog Victor Apple. Chanos came out, called it a fraud. Went from 59 to 53. He covered, never heard from him again. He retired from the business, called it a fraud. He was yelling fire in a movie theater. He quit. He's gone. The stock went to 170. That's Jim Chanos. But he squeezed out 5 points on a markdown, right? And covered. No one said anything about him. Right? So why not do the same thing? You don't have to call us. Don't call stock lemon, call stock apple, stock this, stock banana. Pick up everyone, get one, and just start writing negative reports. We all become capybara, whatever the hell those guys are. White Rock Research, whatever those names are.
Rosenberg says he'll vote for you instead of Kamala. He'd rather vote for Hamala than Kamala. Hamala than Kamala.
Back, his wife passed away again. Just,
It's
life
terrible.
goes on. Life goes on. No one cares. Jeff Easton sitting there pissing on Steve Rosenberg. Hey, Steve, you need money? Yeah, fuck you. We're going to pee on you. That's what Jeff Easton's saying.
So you mentioned MLSS, but James wants to know what you think about it. I think you did it much earlier. I don't remember.
Yeah, I paid $1 for it. And guess what? Like I did in GDC, I got in early, right? Yeah. Early's not working out for me. I wish I would have got in today. I would have saved 20%, right? But I haven't. I hear the earnings are coming out. I've been asking to get an update on it, and that's what I'm getting. The earnings are going to be good, and the government contract should be out shortly. That's all I know. And they said when that comes out, as a fundamental play, the stock should move towards $10. So, and that comes from a
So David's asking me why I think Finger go to 250. I actually looked just now. I think it's 260. And I think it's because today it went up, and I think it's showing, it's just the chart. That's why. I think next move is to 260. It could take a few days, it could take a week, but I think 260. That's where I think it's going to go.
If you're buying Finger Motion to trade, go trade something else, because this is not a trading.
Yeah, I'm not saying for a trade. I'm just. No. I think it looks good. I think that.
Of course, it looks good. Where's it gone? They pushed it down a quarter. The stock was between 2 and 225 for a long time. A little spike to 240, they pushed it down. The spike to 318, they pushed it down. I told you a long time ago, if this was a $20 stock, there's a lot of wiggle room for volatility. There's no room here. These guys overstayed their welcome. They can't get out. They tried everything to get you to sell. Fake reports, this, that, you name it, they've tried. Attacks, you name it. And it hasn't worked. And now we have a leader, and our leader is Donald Trump. You get any better than that? Or not. He's going to fix naked short selling. If you want to vote for those other idiots, then I hope your investments all get wiped out. That's what's going to happen to all of us. You're dragging us all down.
Old man says 259. All right, 259. Okay.
No, listen. If there's shorts for moving stock back and forth, there is no selling. There is none. If this symbol was Tesla, or a stock that formerly was a big squeeze name, and there was no selling like that, people would be running in here, boom, it'll be up to $2 in a block. when there's no selling. Everyone here, unfortunately, likes to wait and see what's going on, and I got it. You've been losing money every time you purchased it. I got it. But the same thing was going on in DJT. I know people bought it from 39 down. And think about that. They were down. I told you, people that I know paid 38, 39, 36. I had them buying the dip and selling the rip. And those people are all in the black now from the profits from trading DJT to support and lower their cost on DJT. So the guy at 39, he probably owns it at 35 now, or 34. Think about that. He wanted to sell it. I held him into it. I told him, and along with other people, don't sell it. They're going to squeeze it. You think so? You think so? And here we are. We're at $35 now. So some people that owned it at 35 owned it at 31 or 33. They went from being in the red to being in the black, and now they're profitable. And that's what I see the same thing happen in finger motion. I don't have the capital to keep buying it anymore. I just don't have it. If I did, I'd be buying it.
If the criminals thought they could win, they wouldn't be afraid of a share count.
Well, that's correct. And the criminals, the SEC is running interference for the criminals. So how do we force the SEC to do anything? We put the truck out there and insulted them. And if you think that we did not insult the SEC, then you have no idea. Believe me, the SEC is well aware. And I think the guy Graywall quit, the head of enforcement. And I think that Gary Gensler wants out also, because this is a political...
Gary Gensler is an honest man, and he doesn't want to be associated with the SEC.
Well, I just think that my friend calls it a political hand grenade. Who wants to go in front of Congress and say, hey, I'm the chairman of the SEC and the enforcement director. The whole system was full of counterfeit shares, and we did nothing to help it. And
but he collects his check for 4 years first before he resigns.
But it's getting to the point where the pressure, I believe, these guys are all running because they don't want nothing to do with it. Because whoever gets caught here is going to have to go explain it to Congress and say, hey, what's going on here? Yeah, we knew about it, but we didn't do anything about it. And people lost all their money because you did what? You did nothing? Are you crazy? And you got guys like Jeff Easton making money. Give me a break.
How have any of the shares in Northwest Bio been covered? You don't know.
I don't know. Listen, so who's the Northwest Bio person? Are they still here?
Yeah, Pete the Greek. He's still here.
All right, Pete the Greek. I was in, what's that guy's name? I was in his money manager's office from Long Island. Maybe something more or something, I forgot his name.
Roger Moore?
He's a big supporter of Northwest Bio. He's done funding with them. He's done, I forgot his name. I was in his office. And I was in his office related to something else. And while I was sitting there, Northwest Bio just did a raise or something like that. And I heard him he was sitting 3 feet from me. And he was giving an order to Maxim. I still remember, he gave an order to Maxim to sell what he just funded the company with. So he was basically dumping whatever he got. And he was, to the holders of Northwest Bio, they all thought he was a hero, but I watched him sell the stock right there. And I told my friends at the time, I think the stock was $2 at the time. I said, this guy just sold the stock when I left the office. They go, get out of here. I said, not only did he sold it through Maxim. I heard him say it. So these guys all are, they just flip it. They don't care. Their job as a money manager or a hedge fund is to just keep stealing whatever they can. Some are good people. I can't remember this guy's name. It's a catchy name. But anyway, I watched them sell it, and they all do the same thing. And they look at it and say, hey, you know what? I made, I put up $100,000, let's say, and I made 5. I'm up 105,000. Oh, if you held on, you'd have made 200,000. I don't care. I just want to keep chipping away. That's how these guys look at it. You know, I put up $1 million. This is what I get. That's how these guys think. And they could give shit about the company. They're all full of shit. They'll hedge themselves. They use any tool they can to hedge themselves and to take advantage of the shareholders. That's all they do. But I happened to be in his office and I watched him. Michael
Moore, Roger Moore.
Mm.
Give me more.
Give me 1 second.
More or less.
You'll say that when you get the name.
Diamond Moore. Manure. Dennis Moore. Dennis Moore, riding through the night.
I can't remember his name. Very nice guy.
More for me, less for you.
He was a Canadian guy, very nice guy. Don't get me wrong, very nice guy. But he's just looking out for himself. He don't care. He's probably helped support Northwest Bio probably 6 times, probably giving him money. I'll give you $3 million. No problem. I get stock if we have 40 cents. It's 44 bid. Yeah, no problem. I'm staying there. Whoop. See you later. 54 cents. Michael Bigger. That's his name.
Michael
So that
Bigger.
gentleman, tell the guy that's the guy's name, Michael Bigger. That's his name. And that's a fact. And he just keeps flipping it, funding it, posting. He loves it. And I was in his office and I watched him sell it.
Northwest Bio, this is August of 2020, announces $5 million financing, non-dilutive. No amortization bullshit. It's non-dilutive.
Who did it?
Let me see if Big League did it. It doesn't. All right, here's the press release. Doesn't say.
Yeah, so there's your answer on Northwest Bio. I went, met the CEO, spoke with him many times. They hired the guy, the CIA guy, something black, who was going to investigate the naked shorts. He did nothing. They got West Christian. It's been years. You guys are sitting here choking. I told him you got to fight it in the street. Didn't care. You got a 23-cent stock. Congratulations. And I believe in finger motion because they're fighting alongside of us. And they're doing everything in their power. And they've stayed alive. And we've done a great job of helping everybody else
Pete
out
wanted to hear. Pete wanted to also hear about DJT. So he's letting me know with a couple of questions.
All right.
Well,
DJT is Donald Trump's company, in case you don't know, and he's going to become the president of the United States. And these guys keep shorting it, trying to hope it drops, but there's over 1 billion shares short. How do I know that? I got the data from a guy who compiles the data, who sends it to Devin Nunes. I got it. And, they could have covered 100 million by now. The thing trades 50 million a day. The stock's been going up, so maybe they're buying 2 million a day to move it up. 2 million a day, 20 days is 40 million shares, right? We got a long way to go yet.
I'm switching. Grant Stevens is saying hello from Vietnam. He said his female massage therapist's name was Ham, and she was wonderful, but all of his thoughts were about finger.
I got a funny story. I was in Thailand.
I'm going to switch. I'm going to get her on here for him. Try to have a happy beginning.
I was in Krabi, which is, I guess, in Thailand somewhere by the beach somewhere. We were in Bangkok, and I went to Krabi. And my son said, "You got to get a massage, from the, the massages. They're supposed to be great." I said, "All right." I went in. and the girls climb on your back and use a rope to keep their weight off of you, right? My son's masseuse was, 5'5", 103 pounds. Mine was 5'9", 222 pounds on my back. I was screaming, "Get off of me! I can't take it anymore." I don't know how I got the big girl, but she was on my back. I'm like, oh my goodness. She was pressing onto my back and it was like breaking. Oh, that's that story. So anyway, I'm just walking outside to get some fresh air in the sun. Anyway, what else we got, William? Any other questions?
Probably. Do you think it will squeeze before your erection, before the election? That was a joke they used to say about the Japanese prime minister.
Just look at it this way. DJT, we said it many times. We all felt that, Trump has to make something happen before the election, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's gone from 20 to 36, 37. Okay, now, I'm not involved in it, and I think that most people that are in the stock have no idea what's going on. Because I just feel on Twitter, not many people contact me, ask me questions about it. I'm like, where are the people that own this stock? Who's behind this thing? There's no one even here. So, I see Johnny Tobacco talking about it, but that's about it. So, again, I know the data. I don't watch it every day. They could be buying 3 shares and shorting 1 share or some sort of ratio. And that's why you're seeing the stock goes up, because it's an algorithm. They could be covering like that. There's many different ways, but, I'm not watching it that closely. I just tell you that I can see the trading pattern is that, every time it drops, it's up 50 cents, 60 cents after being up 2.5, it's going to make another attempt to go back up. And I just walked out and it was up $1.25 again. Imagine buying it up, 70 cents, you sell it up $1. You can sell it up $1, make 30 cents. It's another $300, another $300. You do it twice, 3 times a day, it's 1,000. I keep doing the math for you. Those are stocks that you can trade every day. Finger motion, there's nothing to trade. It's accumulation. Either you believe or you don't believe. If you do believe, you got to accumulate. Because when it goes, you're not going to have a chance.
In the case of a severe economic downturn, how would it affect short squeeze stocks?
They're all going to go up. Because what happens in an economic downturn, everybody who's been lending money to these criminals to support their activities, someone's giving them leverage is going to pull it in because they can't afford the risk. That's what happens. When money's flowing, they'll lend money to anybody. Look at us all on the phone. We all have a credit card with everyone has plenty of money, right?
Yeah.
I was on a JetBlue flight. They gave me a credit card and, they gave me $20,000 limit. I just filled out a piece of paper on the plane. That was it. I got a card with a $20,000 limit.
Did you buy finger?
Oh, I didn't buy it. I'm just laughing. I'm just saying that they gave me the credit. I'm not here to blow up and lose money. I can't do that. Because if I lose money on the stock, then I owe money to the credit card, then I'm really stuck, right? But I'm just trying
ye
to
of little faith.
They just give you credit, $20,000, without even thinking about it.
Will Trump go after the manipulators of his stock?
No, he's going to take them to Mar-a-Lago and then make them movie stars.
He's not being a jerk. He's saying, will he do it before, whether they cover before the election or not?
I just think that, I just can't believe that this is still going on. Every day, he should come out and just say, every day they continue to manipulate my stock and hurt my employees and heard what I'm trying to do, the punishment is going to be severe. That's it. You want to keep playing? Keep doing it. But the punishment is going to be severe.
He'll send them to North Korea, put them in front of a missile.
That's all they need to say. That's all he needs to say. I don't know why he hasn't said it. I know he's very aware of it. Devin Nunes has been very, loud about it. You can see Devin Nunes is not making statements like we all see without him having permission from Donald Trump.
What if Devin Nunes became the head of the SEC?
No, I don't think he'll do that. I think he likes where he is. He's building a company. You can't build a company when you're under attack and you're out there saying, hey, what's going on with my stock price? The shareholders want to know what's going on. It's down 3. It's very difficult. And that's one of the questions that I want you to ask Finger Motion. How is the morale of the employees when they're always under attack? That's just how it is. I mean, it's very difficult. If you're an employee and you got 5,000 shares and your kid wants to go to college and you got to come up with $20,000 and your stock was 5 and now it's 1 or 2, how do you raise it? You got to sell all your shares and you still don't come up with the money you need to go for the kid to go to school. That's the damage that people don't see. I mean, we all see the damage in our trading accounts. But look at the people that work at the company. They go every day. They make $60,000 a year. It's a job, and they're working hard because they want to make the stock valuable. And what happens? They tell their friends to buy the company. Everything is great. The stock keeps getting cut in half. The pressure, the stock's going down. You can't make a sale. Why would you even want to do that? And that's what I tell every CEO that I speak to. Why do you want to continue to do this? Just go bankrupt already. Just end it. Go do something else. And one of the CEOs of XXII I met, his name was Henry, I can't remember, from Buffalo. The guy traveled. He was a Harvard guy, brilliant guy. He was trying to fight the naked shorts. They killed him. He wound up getting divorced. He quit, and he's out of the business. He couldn't take it anymore. That's how bad it becomes. He lost his family because he was traveling all the time, trying to get support for his company, whatever they were doing, and they got destroyed. Now the stock is 10 cents. That's just those are facts. What else we got, William?
That's
I
about
got a
it.
conference call at 3, so I got to vamoose by then.
That far away? No, there aren't any questions.
Listen, if you knew a company was going to get FDA approval for a cancer drug, and it's going to be 10 days away, do you wait or do you buy it before? That's the answer. That's it. That's the answer for your question right there. Everything comes from that. What's the timing? Martha Stewart went to jail because she got inside information about the timing or the bad news that was coming out. She sold before the news hit. Right? That's how it works. So if you're looking to make a bet on any stock that you think that could work with a short squeeze and with Trump coming after them, my advice to you is don't wait. I don't care if it's 1 share or 1 billion shares, don't wait. And just to let you know, we have a shareholder that has got close ties to Michael Burry. I'm putting together a lot of stuff to get it to him. I disagree by making it long. I think that when you pitch a guy of that caliber, you give him the tidbits, what is what we call it, the elevator pitch. Is that what it's called, Wayne?
Yeah.
And just give him a short, sweet, teaser and let him do his own due diligence on it. Because it's obvious from the movie, I don't know Michael Burry, but in the movie, he read every mortgage that was in those packages, or what do they call them? Bundles.
Tranches.
He knew everything about them. So, when you get a guy like that, you got to let them do their homework. You could show them some of the press releases. And I said, and my comments to him were, you love China, along with Michael Tepper and Goldman Sachs. Well, here's the company's latest press release. They have a deal with the Chinese government to install this technology or software in all the emergency vehicles in China. And I think that is something to start with, and let them go ass backwards into all the other things that they're doing. And I think that's what the company needs to do, a complete institutional charge into the stock. But I think they're waiting to get, cash flow positive, where they're on, they're in the black. And like Martin said, he believed that it was coming. So whether it's, the next quarter coming up, whatever, it's coming. And I think that's when you can go to these companies and say, hey, this is what we have. This is where we're going. We went from here to there. We were negative. Now we're positive, and we're not going negative again. And now institutions look at it and say, okay, this is a growth story. I can see it. It's no longer just a dream. This company's getting the revenue and they'll get the profitability. And that's where these guys change their minds. Although they'll buy anything. Guys, so you understand, hedge funds will buy anything to make money. Michael Burry is just like everybody else. He's a scumbag. He bought GameStop for the short squeeze. He bought it. He announced he bought it. The company had failing stores, but yet he went in all in GameStop. And when it squeezed, he was gone. They all did the same thing. The company still doesn't have the fundamentals yet. Right? They still don't have the fundamentals yet.
Well, they're worth probably $8 a share.
Well, not saying
in
that
cash.
The company hasn't built the business yet, and it's still to be seen. He has the money, so everybody's afraid of the money. So that's what it is. But each time he does stuff with the money, I can see it being a negative. He wasted his money. It's going to take time. You hear the same BS that we always hear. I can't believe I'm walking. The guy was bending my legs like so crazy today that I can't believe it's still out there.
Can't wait till your knee is fixed.
I know. My family told me, can you believe this, William? My family's turned on me again. Because all I spoke about was naked short selling, right?
Yeah.
Now I talk about is my knee. And they told me to go back to naked short selling.
Can't blame them for that.
They had enough. I think they just had enough of me. Just hope that I just drop dead and die. But
They don't want that.
Yeah, my wife makes me wear my best suit to bed every night, and I wake up with flowers on me every morning.
And you'll stop loving her one day.
Yeah, that's all those people from Spain will be moving in, right?
Hello.
I forget the movie with.
They'll talk about different shorts.
What was that movie with? I forgot his name. I'm blank. Robin Williams, when he went to Miami and he was gay and
the Tenenbaums? No.
Yeah, that was it. I think that was it. No,
the Royal Tenenbaums?
No, that was something else. Anyway, we're up to 112,000 shares. The 200 shares for sale at 187 is obviously more because every time they try to trade it, there's not 200 there. There's always 200. They must have a button where they can refresh the offer. Keep it at 200. Keep it at 200. And that's how these guys do it. They have, these guys have technology where they could set and say, okay, sell 8,000 at 187, but only show 200. That's how these guys do it. And I'm the firm believer when there's a seller, you take them out. That's how I believe it. And it's just so strange how stocks trade. DJT up $1.53. If you bought the dip, congratulations, you made money again. If you bought the dip and you made 50 cents, 60 cents, you could turn around and go buy some calls. The options, the 20s that we talked about a while ago, they're off, they're gone, right? Now they're looking at the 38s, the 37s, or the 30, the 37s and the 36, 37 and a half, they're $1.40. The 38s are $1.24. I told someone when the 38s get to $3, sell them against your position. That's 38 plus 3. You're talking $41. Or maybe you can sell the 41s, at $1.25 or something, like the 40s or whatever. And this way you can hedge your position. You take you protect your dollar amount in the stock. And you're long the stock, you short the call. So basically you wash out. If the stock goes north of 41, you lose your stock. That's the most you can make is 41. But if the stock doesn't do anything, you collect the $3 in premium. So instead of owning the stock at 32 minus 3, you own it at 29. Maybe next month it goes. I don't know when it's going to go. But that's how people play that game. It's just weird that if you look at, like, for example, GDC, not a big day, 170,000, traded up to 208. Big deal, it's over $2. But look how fast they come in and try to push it right back down. There's no bid, 100 shares, and there's a seller of 4,900 shares. It's the same pattern in every stock. Every stock has that same pattern. All of them. Well, William, listen, I'm going to have to leave you guys. I'm getting called to go on this conference call. These guys have a large oil find. And I happen to know a oil and gas guy that used to work for Exxon, and I'm introducing them to the group and see if he can help, do something with them.
Well, I'll sign an NDA, but send me the document.
I'll get the names today. That's a good idea. I'll pass
send the PowerPoint to me. I can raise some money for him if it's what you say it is.
I will call you after I get off this call, and this is I've heard this.
Birdcage. That was the name of the.
That was the movie, The Birdcage. Yes, there you go.
Nunez always smart.
Okay, now I'm just we're watching the finger motion trading, and if everyone's watching it, you probably fell asleep and hit your head on the table already 10 times because that's how boring it is.
I was just listening to you.
Anyway, listen, everyone, I have to go on this call. I apologize, but again, you got to be in it to win it. Pick your poison. I don't give a shit what stock you play. Donald Trump stock, the longer it stays up, you got to remember, throughout the day, there it is, up $1.70 now, past 36.09. William, buy the dip, sell the rip. It works like a charm. Again.
It does work.
So it does work. And that's how, when you, listen, let's say 2 weeks from now, Peloton is the stock that's going to have this same movement. You forget GameStop, which had that movement also, that's gone. Then DJT, that'll be gone. And then it'll be finger motion, that'll be gone. Then it'll be GDC. And you get in the groove on these things, and you can earn money every day, even if it's $100 a day. It's $2,000 a month. Just stealing $100, making $100. Think like Wall Street people do. And when you're invested like I am, I have to sit here, unfortunately, and be like the Statue of Liberty, and I should be taking advantage of these things, but I put my efforts towards not trading anymore. I wanted to be an investor. Unfortunately, Fraud Street has turned me back into I got to go become a trader to make money. So I will be moving back to that arena shortly. But again, let's count these days down. We'll expose Jeff Houston and his crew, and we'll just go from there. That's it. There's nothing more I can say. All right, William?
Okay.
All right, listen, everyone, have a great day. I got to go to work. I'll speak to you later.
Thank you.
Call ended.
All right, so I'm going to talk I think just one article on gold and one on silver. But this is an older one. This is July of 2024. But it's Bitcoin, see? Bitcoin.com news. Gold could surge to 40,000 per ounce. Egon von Greyers, founder of Matterhorn Asset Management, he's now changed that, and Gold Switzerland. This is the name I remember, but he's now calls it after himself. If you are looking for him, has shared his insights indicating potential for substantial increase in gold prices based on historical trends. Egon explained that gold could reach up to $16,000 an ounce if it returns to its historical average relative to U.S. Treasuries. And it could reach $40,000 an ounce based on the 1979-1980 levels of gold. Gold prices could skyrocket, according to Egon von Greyers, founder of Matterhorn Asset Management AG and Gold Switzerland. He discussed potential future values for gold in an article published on his website on Monday. That's this summer. That's last summer. He examined the potential for significant increases in the price of gold based on trends. That if gold were to return to its historical average level relative to U.S. Treasuries, it would need to be revalued at least 6 times, implying a gold price of $16,000 an ounce. The total U.S. held gold has on average been 40% of U.S. Treasuries outstanding. Today, it's only 7%. That's really interesting because that 40% number is what Jim Rickards uses as a post-financial reset for using gold against money supply, 40%. It's interesting, it's the same. So today it's only 7%. If gold were to reach the same average, it would be 16. Well, I bet our bonds outstanding have gone up over the last few months. Quote, as we enter the golden era, with BRICS countries increasing their purchases continuously and central banks selling U.S. treasuries to buy gold, no country and no central bank will in the future hold dollars as a reserve asset. No country and no central bank in the future will hold dollars as a reserve asset. Physical gold is the only proper reserve asset, just as it's been throughout history, at least over the last 3,000 years. Additionally, von Gerwich explores the possibility of gold reaching the levels observed in 1980. At that time, gold represented 140% of U.S. Treasuries. To match that ratio today, gold would need to be revalued by 19 times, or a price of gold of $40,000 per ounce. He also mentioned that silver could move twice as quickly as gold. He clarified that these price predictions are not presented as definitive forecasts, but rather as possible outcomes. Okay. Investors should not focus on potential targets for gold and silver. Instead, just think of gold as financial life insurance, which throughout history has preserved investors' assets, but also can in the future enhance them. Remember to only hold physical gold and silver stored in the most secure vaults in the safest jurisdictions. All right, so if I go over to this story, I don't think it'll change. Yeah, it doesn't change. Okay, so I have to go to take this out, then go up here. I was going to read this one to you last week, but I didn't. I just found it today. I don't think I did. Maybe I'll remember that I did. But it's this, oh wow, look at some of these. Brixton Metals drills into gold. Wow. I like this. I like this news site. How would a new BRICS currency affect the US dollar? What was the highest price for silver? Well, it was $50, but that's without adjusting it for inflation. Top 10 oil producing countries. New gold and with silver and base metals results highlights. Wow. I like this website. Anyway, let's get up to here. First Majestic silver. And I don't know, I showed you this book before that I read from you, but his chapter 7 is an interview from Keith Neumeyer, president and CEO of First Majestic Silver. And this article was written September by Melissa Pistilli, September 17th, 2024. And her opening sentence is, what is in store for silver in the future? Keith Neumeyer of First Majestic Silver has said he sees the white metal reaching $100 per ounce. There's the white metal. Looks kind of blue. It actually looks a little bit silver. The silver spot price made waves in 2020 when it rose above $20 for the first time in 4 years. And the precious metal has tested $30 an ounce since. It's at, I think, $36 today. Most recently, the silver price broke $30 on May 17th and reached a 12-year high of $31.80. May 19th, silver price hit $32.33, which remains its highest point for years as of September 11. For the year as of September 11. It's higher now. Well-known figure Keith Neumeyer has frequently said he believes silver could climb further to hit $100 per ounce or even higher at 130. He voiced his opinion in recent years. He put a US 130 price target on in November of 2017. He reiterated his triple-digit target in many interviews. So far this year, Neumeier has made his $100 call with Daniela Cambone. She's great. She's really good. She is well trusted, leads a great interview, and she lets the interviewee speak. She does a really good job. Daniela Cambone. She has her own YouTube. Actually, I think it is with also with a gold company. Anyway, Neumeier believes silver could hit $100 because of its consistent deficit in supply and demand, its industrial demand, and how undervalued silver is compared to gold. He has been bolder. He thought silver could reach $1,000. Does it sound like somebody else? If gold were to hit 10,000. More recently, his timeline for $100 has been pushed back, but he's bullish on the metal. Why is Neumeier calling for $100 silver per ounce? There is a significant distance for silver to go before it reaches the heights Neumeier has boldly predicted. Its price would have to increase by 300%. Neumeier has previously stated that he expects a triple-digit silver price because he believed the market cycle could be compared to the year 2000 when investors, that's the stock market, when investors were sailing high on the dot-com bubble and the mining sector was in the crapper. He thinks it's only a matter of time before the market corrects like it did in 2001 and 2002, and commodities see a big rebound. Mining stocks invested heavily, he did, in mining stocks and came out on top. Quote, I've been calling for triple-digit silver for a few years now, but I'm cautiously enthused because, I thought it would have happened sooner than it already is happening. I actually saw someone the other day call for US $500 silver. I'm not sure I'm at that level. Give us $50 first, and then we'll see what happens. Neumeier believes that the silver market is in a deficit. When presented with supply-side data from the Silver Institute indicating the biggest surplus in silver market history, Neumeier was blunt in his skepticism. I think these numbers are made up. I wouldn't trust them at all. He pointed out that subtracting net investments in silver exchange traded products leaves the market in a deficit. See, that's where they counterfeit silver. That's why ETFs, you just got to be careful. And also question the methodology behind the Institute's recycling data, given that most recycled silver metal comes from smelters and refineries who don't disclose those figures. So, quote, I'm guessing the mining sector produced something in the order of 825 million ounces in 2022, Neumeier said. Consumption numbers look like they were something between 1.2 and 1.4 billion ounces. That's because of all the great technologies, gadgets, that we consume, electric vehicles, solar panels, windmills, you name it. All of these new technologies require silver. That is a pretty big supply deficit. In December of 23 with Kitco, and I think that's where Daniela works, Neumeyer stressed that silver is more than just a poor man's gold, and he spoke to silver's important role in electric vehicles and solar cells. First Majestic is a member of a consortium of silver producers who in January sent a letter to the Canadian government urging that silver be recognized as a critical mineral. Silver's inclusion on the list would allow silver producers to accelerate the development of their projects. In 2024, Neumeyer highlighted the imbalance in silver's supply and demand picture. Quote, "We are 6 years into this deficit. The deficit in 2024 looks like it's going to be bigger than 23. And why? Because miners aren't producing enough silver for the needs of the human race. Except for the Palestinians. They don't need silver. The rest of the human race. More controversially, with more controversy, Neumeyer is of the opinion that the white metal will eventually become uncoupled from its sister metal, gold, and should be seen as a strategic metal because of its importance in everyday appliances, from computers to electronics. He believes the metal is a rare commodity because silver production is down. He thinks gold will break 3,000 this year, which it did. He said, all you need is a catalyst. It could be Elon Musk taking a position in the silver space. That's exactly why I put urgency on this. All you would need is one big guy or girl to say, I want to own silver, and there's not enough silver. The Western mindset is turned off on silver. They own it in India, they own it in China, they own it in the Middle East. All you would need is Bill Gates's wife, or Jeff Bezos's ex-wife, or Stephen Jobs' wife to decide, I want to own silver, and it's all over. There isn't enough silver. There's going to be a catalyst at some time, and Wall Street Journal will talk about the deficit. The catalyst could be Elon Musk taking a position. Neumeyer discussed his belief that banks are holding the silver market down. That's naked shorting. They're shorting silver with paper contracts, and it's JP Morgan primarily. But oddly, JP Morgan now is, I think, the largest holder of silver outside of, I think they might be the largest holder of silver. So Jamie Dimon knows. If you want to go buy 100 billion ounces of silver in the paper market, you might not even move the price because some bank just writes a contract and says you own it. Neumeyer said banks are willing to get short because once the buying stops, they can push the price down to get investors out of the market and buy the silver back cheaper. If the miners started pulling their metal out of the current system, then all of a sudden the banks wouldn't know if they're going to get the metal or not. so they wouldn't be willing to take those same risks. And I argue that the physical demand for silver, just like he does, is greater than the physical supply. So the counterfeiters are going to get caught out. The highest price for silver was just under $50 in the 70s, and it came close to that level again in 2011. In the 10s, the 20s have largely seen silver in the teens and now above 20. Flirting with $30 in 24, $32 in May. The metal is weighed down by expectations of a looming recession for the United States and China. Analyst firm Metals Focus has pointed out that the silver market has a substantial deficit expected to be 215 million ounces in 2024, or the second highest level in over 20 years. So it doesn't sound like a recession necessarily is going to save their bacon. Breaking through $50 will likely happen in quick, sharp daily spikes because of modern AI trading. It could be the first step toward even higher silver prices, including $100. Can silver hit 1,000? Why is silver cheap? Cheap, cheap. How to invest in silver? Purchasing physical bullion. All right. Oh, here, I saw Melissa Gates. No, Melissa Pistilli. Melissa Pistilli. All right, let me go. And I think I'm done reading anything. I'll see if you said anything, and then we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, 33.50. 33.50. I know, Stephen, you said me, not him. I didn't want to say that to him. I wanted him to think, since you're his friend, you would vote for him, the hamster. So let's just see how any stocks are trading. I do want to point out again, yeah, NIX is down to 3. Finger is down to 189. DJT is still up. I think DJT, I could be wrong, but I think $35 was really important. So I think 35 becomes support, and I think it can double from there. I won't pull up a chart, but I really think logic is cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap. But I know all of you have negative feelings about it. But on the basis of the two deals they've already announced, using the number of shares outstanding, just the two, I don't know what to say it's worth. 7 cents, 5 cents, 6 cents a share. And then that they still have 5 more they're working on. And I don't know. Is it going to go down when they announce the rest of these deals? Then if you look at the chart, there's a gap in the stock at around I don't know, 16 and a half, 17, 17 and a half. And it could go fill that gap in a run up. So that's kind of what I think about that. Beyond that, I don't really have anything more to say. I'm sorry that to the Mahmoud, I didn't mean to offend, but I did mean to call attention. I did mean that. And we will see all you guys tomorrow. So peace.